Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We turn to you in gratitude and remembrance. O Lord, remind us that the history of Islam in America is not a story that began in 1965.
Seriously?
Nor one that arrived upon distant shores in the 20th century. It is woven into the very tapestry of this nation.
Okay.
It is part of Black American history.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You see, this is the back door that these clowns always try to use. Now, if you simply tell the truth, no one will call you a clown or a liar. But you guys are simply lying, trying to rewrite history and claim that simply because Islam in the 60s essentially infiltrated the Black communities, you guys are trying to make it sound like, okay, since Islam right now is closely associated with the Black communities, it means that Islam has been a part of the American fabric for since the 1800s or the 1700s. These guys are just full of it.
Story not only of bondage, but of spiritual emancipation. A freedom of the soul that existed long before its material counterpart was realized. Let us honor that truth with fortitude and clarity. O Sustainer, remind us that this story is stitched into the fabric of our land and carried in the...
So, according to this individual who is doing this at the Illinois State Capitol, they claim that Islam has been woven into the very fabric of American history. Well, guys, just let me know what you think, because look, I keep running into these crazy videos and I just have to say something about them because they are just simply insane. All right, they are insane. All right, so here's another video. White milk in schools is white supremacy.
White milk in schools is white supremacy.
Okay, I'm going to play that again.
White milk in schools is white supremacy.
All right, so this post says, never forget Oregon Democrat Representative Maxine Dexter at a town hall called White Milk in Schools, White Supremacy. These are the people who call Republicans and conservatives unhinged. And when they open up their mouth and say these crazy, crazy things, it makes you wonder, okay, so who's really the unhinged one? Now, Memorial Day was being celebrated. And as part of Memorial Day, American flags are planted on people's front lawns. And you can easily tell who the leftists are, people who hate America, who hate freedom. Here's one of them. He kicks the American flag. This guy's an absolute loser. That is destruction of property. That guy should be sued. All right. That guy should be sued. And look, this kind of behavior should not be allowed to slide. One of the things that leftists depend on is the compassion and forgiveness that tends to flow from conservatives, because most of us are historically, culturally Christian in our value system, and we are taught to forgive, to let things go. They are counting on you letting go and letting them continue with their insanity. And when you decide that, okay, it's time for people to pay for their stupidity, it's called weaponizing the justice system. Now, gardening sent me this morning, and I was only able to get to it this evening, and this is hilarious, okay? Because do you know what? Al Green has been on my mind for a few days because I've been like, how is this joker a member of Congress? Well, it turns out that race-baiting Democrat hack Representative Al Green has lost his primary. So we get to be spared his theatrics of standing in the middle of the aisle in Congress and screaming and waving his cane. and always looking angry. Do you notice that this guy is always looking angry? Well deserved, you POS. Okay, Green has tried multiple times to impeach President Trump and made interrupting his State of the Union a regular occurrence. It's good to see this joker go. Let's have a listen.
A jarring one to see, I think, just in terms of where expectations were. Green won Fort Bend in a landslide in the preliminary, getting crushed by Menifee here in his home base. And again, that's Harris County. And so our decision desk is saying that long-time Democratic incumbent Al Green, he, among other things, if you watch the State of the Union address every year, he's often prominent there for a variety of reasons. But Al Green...
Not a variety of reasons, for one reason. His only usefulness to the Democrat Party is to be the court jester who jumps up and down with his cane, looking upset and claiming that Trump deserves to be impeached for hurting his feelings.
Losing here to Christian Menifee. So one incumbent had to go. Our decision desk says Al Green will be that incumbent.
Well, other incumbents on the Rhino Republican side are leaving. So that's good news. So this came in courtesy of gardening, and thanks gardening. It's good news. Okay. Yesterday you sent us good news about the elections on the Republican side with Cornyn getting kicked out. Awesome. So we're going to keep watching the elections, and essentially we believe that some good candidates are going to be voted in. Now, let's watch this, because this is where reporters who essentially are partisan, well, look, they're all partisan by now. Like, it's not difficult to catch them being partisan. We see it on CNN, TDSBC, ABC, CBS. They're all partisan. They're all leftists. Okay, they're all leftists. How long has the news media been captured by leftists? I think it's been going on since the 60s. It's just that it wasn't easy for them to be openly hostile to the country and keep their jobs. So they had to hide it really well. But as time went on, and as the educational system essentially hollowed out the conscience of the younger American people, it became acceptable to do insane things like kick the American flag, burn the American flag, say insane things, and ask stupid questions like this question.
With all due respect, this is the United States of America. There's so many.
Where are you from?
I'm WSBA Channel 7.
Okay.
My name is Vanessa McLean.
Great, thanks.
United States of America. So many people are being robbed of due process. This is wonderful, this dog and pony show, but there's American citizens who are being...
So as a reporter, your job is to ask the question in a neat, nonpartisan way. She calls what Governor DeSantis is doing with ICE enforcement and opening Alligator Alcatraz a dog and pony show. It's statements like this that just convinces us that, look, the press cannot be trusted. Mainstream media cannot be trusted. They have sold out the American people. They have facilitated the destruction of American culture, and they feel entitled to you agreeing with them. So she can say this openly about measures to protect American citizens.
They show their birth certificates, they show their passports, they show their IDs, and a lot of the work being done is a little sloppy.
Well, first of all, I'll let ICE handle that accusation that you're making, that they're deporting American citizens who are showing birth certificates and all that. I don't believe that that's true, but I'll let them respond to that. But you seem to have no sympathy. You seem to have no sympathy for people that have been victimized by illegal aliens? What about people, you have someone driving drunk and kills American citizen?
They don't
What
care.
about people that have been deported previously and let in under Biden,
Nope.
who then commit sexual offenses or commit homicides? And then we have more victims as a result of the federal government's previous inattention and unwillingness to enforce the law. So there are a lot of people that have been harmed by illegal immigration. There have been.
I'll answer the question he asked. What about the American citizens who've been harmed? They don't care. It's like that individual that I mentioned, the Islamic guy from Africa who said that white girls deserve to be raped because they wear shorts. It's that strange marriage of the left and Islam. Okay, these Islamists say you deserve to die because you don't believe in Islam. You don't follow the teachings of Islam. The leftists say bad things, you deserve all the bad things happening to you because you're white, because you're inherently evil. Or if you're black and bad things happen to you and you're a conservative, good riddance. That's the way these people think and believe. So it's no surprise that they agree with each other and they get along beautifully.
People that have been harmed by Tren de Aragua gang members who should not be in this country in the first place. So let's just be clear. Who are you fighting for?
All right, guys, I'm going to take a break. Gardening, I'm so sorry about the injury. Look, guys, look, the show is all about you guys. I'm so sorry about the injury, but it's fine. It's totally fine. Just rest up. I'm glad that you're watching. It's totally okay. You've already made your contribution to the show by sending the story on Al Green losing his seat. So that's great. Thank you so much. But rest well, and I'll be praying for you. Look, I'll be praying for you. That's what I'll say right now. Intergalactic Wrangler says, "Hi, everyone. Okay, yeah, live long, and prosper." Okay, so all right. So let's keep listening.
We're fighting for the citizens of Florida. We want them to be able to live in a society that upholds the rule of law. We want them to be able to live in a state that is safe. And we have to take action on it. I'll let them address your accusation. But the notion that somehow this is America, therefore we're supposed to have an open border, we're not supposed to enforce immigration laws, we're supposed to just sit on our hands when Biden let in 7 or 8 million people illegally into the country? No, that is not responsible. That is not what our citizens elected us to do. So we're in this fight. I think a lot of these narratives that I hear, to me, just instinctively, I think they're fake narratives because I've seen it happen so many times. But I will let folks at ICE respond to your accusation.
Well, the first thing I'll say is that I think the governor's words really stand on their own. The men and women of ICE are working every single day to protect the communities, working with state and local officials to do our very best to protect the communities after the Biden administration opened our borders, allowed people to come into this country that should have never came into this country in the first place, jeopardizing our families and our communities and putting them in harm's way on a daily basis. The men and women of ICE are going into those communities to protect the men and women in these communities, to be able to do the mission that we've been set on every single day that the president has given us.
349,000 new court cases in 2025 alone. Only 1% are new cases based on alleged criminal activity. So a lot of these people don't have criminal past or background. So who's being arrested and where is this information on ICE's website? It's on court documents, but we can't get this information, and ICE, quite frankly, isn't being very transparent.
Look, I'll stand by the fact that if you're in this country illegally, you are a criminal. You will be deported. You will have the opportunity to be able to come back into this country through the correct immigration processes. We're working through those every single day, but our number one goal is to keep the American people safe from the criminals that are walking in this country that should have never been let through in the first place.
And the journalists never seem to talk about the horrible consequences of open borders and mass migration that was allowed by the Biden administration. As far as they're concerned, they're on the right side of history. They're saying all the right words. They're on the right side of history. Look, guys, Democrats who support open borders, what I would say to you guys is this: stop shutting the doors to your apartments and homes. Leave them wide open. In fact, remove the doors from their hinges. Since you believe in open borders for the country, there's a saying that I grew up hearing: charity begins at home. Let's see you successfully carry out open border policies in your own private lives. Let's see you win with open borders. Let's see your charity and your love and empathy on full display for the next 3 years. Let's see you do it, okay? And if we see you thriving and doing well, and your children are healthy and are unsoiled or unsullied by that experience, then maybe we'll consider, going ahead and just thinking about it, not doing it, but thinking about it. But you're not going to do it, because you know what happens when there's no protection, there's no borders in your own home. Bad actors get in and horrible things happen to your family. You know it. Everyone knows it. President Trump had a cabinet meeting, and Mark Wayne Mullins had this to say. He essentially said that the Democrats' spectacle on the New Jersey ICE facility was essentially stupid. Let's hear him out.
It shows this radical left Democrats' priorities when they decide to go out and protest a detention center where we're housing rapists, child predators, murderers, drug dealers, and they choose Memorial Day of all the time to go protest something that they say that that it's because they're on a hunger strike, when there was only a handful of individuals that was refusing to eat because they want their ethnic group or their ethnic right food. Well, they can go back to their country and get whatever food they want.
Exactly.
The fact is, we're giving them the calories they want. This isn't Holiday Inn. We're giving them sanitation. But for the Democrats and the governor, like Governor Sherrill and Senator Kim and Senator Booker, to go out and do something like this of all the days is very frustrating. And we see Antifa signs are literally out there.
Yep.
The local police literally refusing to respond. They barricade it, not allowing our employees to come in and out. ICE has to go out there, remove the barricade, and then you have one of the senators complain because he got splattered with a pepper ball. I'm sorry, you probably shouldn't have been there.
Look, the Democrat Party is essentially the Antifa Party. Okay, I think we should start calling them the Antifa Party. Here's what's been happening outside of the ICE facility in New Jersey. So listen to them. They're saying, "Be like Renee, get in the way." Renee Good was obstructing the enforcement of federal law, and then she attempted to It's challenging to watch that video and assume that Renee didn't know what she was doing. She was told to get out of the vehicle. She sped away, struck the ICE agent who had pulled a weapon, telling her to get out of the car. She struck him. His gun went off several times, and she was killed. And these guys, is like I said yesterday, the left, the Democrats, are eager to have another summer of love. So remember, okay, when you watch these protests, the thing that grinds my gears, the thing that upsets me is this. You watch these protests, nothing happens to these guys. They're using profanity, they're shoving ICE agents. You're like, I didn't see anybody get shoved. Don't worry, we're going to watch another angle. They're shoving ICE agents, they're using profanity, they're obstructing federal law being enforced. But during the Biden years, women who were praying outside abortion clinics were getting arrested and put in jail. I know that there was a lot of overreach during the Biden years. And there's always this thing about, don't use the same tools that the radicals have used. Be better than them. Okay, be better than them. But look, it's upsetting to watch this insanity play out. And there have been consequences, but essentially, this has to be shut down because it's not sustainable. People don't live like this. Civilization isn't built this way. All right, so in this next video, you're going to see them shoving ICE agents.
Don't be kicking, fucking bitch! Get the fuck back! Get the fuck back! You're scared of a little girl? You scared of a little girl's shoe? You scared of a little girl's shoe? That made you freak out?
They're like,
you can afford as a Nissan for your ICE agents. It's a terrible look. Look at the inadequate.
So yeah, Intergalactic Wrangler says they need to go all in like they did before. It's Intergalactic Wrangler. You and I want them to go in hard, but again, the politicians. No, I know. Look, Bovino did that. Does he have a job today? Okay. Once Bovino was essentially removed from Minnesota, for me, it was a loss. Okay. It was a loss because it showed that the administration had begun to capitulate to the pressure from the Democrat Party. Because here's the thing, okay, and when I say this, I don't mean, hey, I've stopped supporting the administration. I'm saying that there are decisions that I don't agree with, but there's the obvious reason why those decisions were made. One example is this. You have these protests breaking out in Minnesota since January, since Rene Good was killed, and then Preddy, was killed. And then you had the Democrats essentially pouring gasoline into an inferno. And you had what's her name again? Oh gosh, I've forgotten her name. She had this whole thing where she did, the former head of the DHS. She had this whole thing, Kristi Noem. She had this thing where she essentially misappropriated funds for a commercial, and then attempted to associate Trump with it. And then we had Bovino getting, there were things that happened that were okay, these were fumbles, and the Trump administration essentially needed to douse that inferno, because whether you agree with the administration or not, looking at the way Democrats have organized to block the enforcement of federal law that every other president has enforced. Bill Clinton enforced the same laws. George Bush, Barack Obama enforced the same laws. Most of the officers who work at ICE worked during the Obama administration. And suddenly, once Trump gets in, it becomes a crime, unconstitutional, to do the thing that they've been doing all along. And somehow it frustrates me that the messaging isn't loud and clear or essentially being pushed hard enough. I don't know why. I don't know if there's just so much happening that the messaging is being diluted. I don't know. Intergalactic Wrangler says, if me or you would have done this when they were in office, they would have thrown the book at us. Of course they would. They would. But you see, the problem is that the Democrats have the full weight of the mainstream media backing them up. The mainstream media would cover up all of the sins of Democrat administrations. You had Obama doing unconscionable things, but because he was the chosen one, he was the Black Jesus. He was untouchable. The mainstream media could not and would not touch any scandal that happened during the Obama administration or the Clinton administration. But it comes to a Republican and it's like it's the end of the world. Someone, cracks a toenail. Oh my goodness. It's like a nuclear bomb went off in 10 states of the union. It's crazy, but it's true. Because Trump isn't fighting just with the insane people in Congress. He has to deal with a radical, captured media apparatus. Like, we have to look at the whole board. All right? And sometimes we just need to take a breath and say, because I ask myself the question, why is this happening all the time? I'm looking at this picture on the screen. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that people would openly obstruct the enforcement of federal law and there be no consequences. Intergalactic Wrangler says, it is because they hate Trump and are poor losers. Yeah, they're poor losers. They are, but they are organizing quite well. And that's one thing that I think we should learn. And there's a story that's coming up that essentially encourages me that, okay, some people are getting the memo, okay? Because I wanted to say that yesterday. I mentioned it at the tail end of the live stream yesterday, but I'm seeing it happening in New York. We're going to get to that story in a bit. Now, they were screaming, "Be like Renee," and they got their wish. Look at these clowns. Look at these clowns. They were screaming, "Be like Renee." And they're doing exactly what Renee Good did. They're obstructing a vehicle, an ICE vehicle. Oh my goodness, I didn't share the screen. I didn't realize that. Sorry about that. They're obstructing the vehicle. The vehicle is moving. Well, they got pepper sprayed.
You better stay right there, sir. Stay right there. Move, guys, move. Make a line. Make a line. Push. Yo, if you grab
Now, the reason why this is happening is because the police isn't supporting them. They have zero cover from the police because New Jersey has refused to cooperate. Yeah, so they were chanting "Be like Renee," and that was their look. We keep looking at this, and we have to keep seeing it because that's happening today. Even right now, they're still protesting. I don't want to cover the live protest because most of the time it's people standing around and screaming profanity. I watched one of those live feeds, and they say the most disgusting things. They say the most disgusting things, and sometimes if you're not looking, you have an unhinged, insane person stripped naked in front of the camera in order to get your stream taken down. So I just try to, it's really hard to track those live streams, but who knows? Maybe one day we'll do a live a live coverage of one of those protests. Now, Mark Wayne Mullen has a message for sanctuary cities, and I think I like this approach, but my question is, will they pull it off? The Democrat Party have the will and the audacity to do some of the things that they keep doing. Like you mentioned, earlier, you said if you or I did any of these things during the Biden administration, we'd be in jail. So here's what Mark Wayne Mullen says.
Well, I believe sanctuary cities is not lawful. I don't think they're able to do that. And so we're going to take a hard look at this. Just one area we may take a hard look at is some of these cities have international airports. If they're a sanctuary city, should they really be processing customs into their city?
No.
I'm seriously, if they're a sanctuary city and they're receiving international flights, and we're asking them to partner with us at the airport, but once they walk out of the airport, they're not going to enforce immigration policy. Maybe we need to have a really hard look at that because we need to focus on cities that want to work with us.
So you're...
Well, I believe sanctuary cities...
Yeah, so essentially...
It's not lawful.
Sorry. Essentially, if a sanctuary city refuses to cooperate with the federal government, isn't the federal government within its rights to withhold certain privileges that the federal government can only give, or that only the federal government can give? Okay, guys, just let me know in the chat. I like this idea, but like I said earlier, is the Trump administration or are Republicans or conservatives willing and brazen enough to act like the Democrats would? Guys, remember that during the Biden administration, Joe Biden had this clean energy and EV conference that he had. He invited everyone else, all the other EV car makers, except for Elon Musk, the biggest EV car maker in the world. He refused to invite Elon for political reasons. All right, so these people are willing to do the insane. They would arrest protesters simply for showing up at school board meetings to complain that their daughters were seeing penises in the girls' bathrooms. The FBI would literally kick down your door for doing that. Guys, we're forgetting these stories. Maybe what I'll just do is find some of these old stories and maybe have a live stream where I just play through all of them, because we all seem to have a short memory that all of these things happened. And one of the reasons why I think, and while I was looking at the last video covering the protest in New Jersey, one of the things that crossed my mind is this. The Trump administration, I think, is also soft-pedaling because it's the midterms. Now, someone might say, well, that might be all the more reason why he should double down and go hard on the protesters. It's tricky because all it takes is one more Renee Good, one more Alex Preddy, and the Democrats have their sound bites that will run all through the midterm campaign season. It's a very tricky scenario. And there are even conservatives who feel like the way ICE is carrying this out is a bit extreme. And these are people who don't recall or don't even have the ability to recall that Obama did all the things that ICE is doing today, or ICE under Obama operated in the same way. But the only difference is this: the mainstream media is making this sound like it's such a humanitarian crime to enforce immigration law. So I can understand it. All right. So just let me know what you think in the chat. Okay. I'm letting you know what I think. I don't agree. Integrity Wrangler says it's because they hate Trump. And Paul, oh, sorry, I've read this before. Sorry about that. It was on the screen already. I thought it was a new message. Now, a New York City councilwoman just blew the whistle. Mayor Mamdani's plan to seize landlord properties and hand them to nonprofits could involve billions of dollars in city buildings. She warned that once the nonprofits take over these buildings, it is multi-billion-dollar stuff. Let's watch.
It was known as COPA. They renamed it. And let's also go over something else. We have city-owned properties called NYCHA. They are the worst landlords that the city could ever ask for. But the most detrimental thing is they want to take this and fund this all through non-for-profits. Once the non-for-profits take over these buildings, this is multi-billion-dollar stuff we're talking about. We're talking about the New York City buildings. I mean, can you imagine? This is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But what I really want to see now, Sandra, there's going to be a real test and a real testimonial to see who stands up in my city council against this. Okay? Is my speaker of the city council going to do her job?
Nope.
And realize this is a detriment, this will kill our city?
I don't think so.
Is she going to do her job and get everybody, the way they did when Eric Adams was in office? You know, when Eric Adams was in office, they found every little thing to knock him about. Now we've got this guy who's a straight up communist pushing this forward, and I want to know, what are you going to do about it, my city?
They're not going to do a thing about it because they're all terrified. They all want to protect their jobs. That's my prediction. I might be wrong. I would love to be wrong, but I don't think I am wrong. I've seen enough happening with New York City to believe that that's the case. We're not going to see anything. They are not going to lift a finger. That's why Mamdani could say the things he said about essentially taking people's property away, because the city believes that they are not taking care of the property effectively. When she said that the city already owns property and those properties are the worst managed, how can New York City, who already manages the worst buildings in the city, go after people who are better than they are and claim that they are managing their properties poorly? It's the world we live in today, guys. It's upside down. It's upside down. Now, there's a protest that happened, and this encourages me, all right? So this is a protest that took place outside Gracie Mansion on Tuesday night. That was yesterday, as protesters thanked New York City police officers for keeping the city safe. Let's have a listen.
Let's thank our NYPD for keeping us safe. Every single community deserves to feel safe, and we will never demonize those who are working day and night to make sure we do. Thank you, NYPD. NYPD! 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 NYPD!
All right, so yesterday I said conservatives have to begin to use some of these tools. And I think now that Trump is in office and conservatives aren't going to have the FBI kick down their doors, I think this is the time to start doing that. This is the time to have counter protests. This is the time for conservatives to do this at the state level. Blue cities, they have to start doing stuff like this because it's good. It's encouraging. It kind of tells everyone that America is not as crazy as the leftists want the world to believe it is. Now, here's a voter who attended this protest, okay? He says he was a Mamdani voter who attended this protest against the mayors, and he says he regrets his vote.
Do you think Mamdani voters are happy with what they voted for?
I think at this point, the majority of us are starting to realize that there was a lot of smoking mirrors.
Did you vote for him?
I did.
Really? And now you're at a protest for him. So what changed? Like, what did you see that made you go, I don't support this anymore?
I basically see the truth, what everybody else sees. He had an opportunity, and clearly he did not follow up with anything that I thought that he promised with. First of all, justice security for like religious places has been completely obsolete, and some kind of a bogus of like a free. It's nonsense. We know it is. It's all basically just basic marketing, free buses. Really?
Yeah. So we told you guys it's okay. It's good that he's self-aware enough to admit that he was wrong, and I'll give him that. But when all of that was going on during the campaign, there were many people out there saying this guy is bad for New York. I said it during my live streams. Other people said it, in their content, their videos. They had Fox News talking about this regularly. And I hoped that all of the conversations around Mamdani would change that. But it didn't. People still voted him in. They celebrated. They said, hey, this is going to stick it to the wealthy people who have made New York so expensive and unlivable. And guess what? You guys just set your city on fire to prove a point. Congratulations. And then now this guy is saying, well, I regret the vote. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. Let's head on to Texas. Now in Texas, Fort Worth ISD just reversed the hire of radical Islamist Shema Al-Zubi. I'm dedicating this video to those of you who live in Texas because this is good news. You can't have people who uphold a different law than the United States Constitution and say that openly and try to educate your kids to believe that. Okay, so her hiring as school principal has been reversed after her pro-Sharia law and Palestine Hamas posts exploded online. Let's listen to Governor Abbott.
District who had appointed a principal, and that principal, as it turns out on their social media, had posted some pretty controversial things about Sharia law, defending and explaining Sharia law, among other things as well. Well, the school district did make a statement to the Will Cain Show. They said they were made aware of multiple social media posts from the past by the finalist for a principal position in the district. After review, it was determined that the posts may not align with the district's social media policy and expectation for staff. Therefore, the candidate will be reassigned pending the outcome of an investigation. Talk to me about this story and about Texans' concerns about the spread of Islamism in Texas.
So as to the story itself right there, the education agency made it very clear that behavior like this, comments like this, misalignment with Texas values as well as Texas law are unacceptable, and people like this cannot be a principal. This comes in the aftermath of action that we took just 2 weeks ago, where there was an Islamic organization that tried to set up Tex A&M, which sounds a whole lot like Texas A&M, as a university, where they had no authority to do so. A lawsuit was brought to shut them down because they were trying to operate illegally. It comes in the aftermath of what happened in a Dallas suburb, Grand Prairie, where they tried to have a Muslim-only event in a public park location, and I ordered that it be shut down. Those are just some of the many actions that we've taken, including shutting down the attempt to create Epic City, northeast of Dallas, Texas, where we are not going to allow the Islamification of Texas. We will not allow Muslim-only communities. We're not going to allow no-go zones or anything like that. In fact, there was a referendum on the Republican primary ballot about completely banning statewide Sharia law, and that's going to pass this next session when we get back into the next session this next January. And so we've done more than any state to push back against any attempt to grow Islam or radical Muslim in our state.
Good news, guys. Okay, Texas is still sane. Years ago, when my wife and I were talking about, okay, where do we move to if we're going to relocate from Africa, from Nigeria? Yeah, I hope it works. I hope this works. So we were talking, and it was like, okay, so where could we relocate to? And I said, not the United States. I love the United States, but I saw what was going on. I said, no. The only chance that I would move to the United States is I would have to move to a red state. The reddest, I'd move to the reddest city of that red state. Okay? Because you can't live with people who don't value the freedoms that the United States is known for. You can't. Okay. So let's take this next story. Okay. Let's take it. Some of us have been following it. And California just voted to pass AB 2624, the Stop Nick Shirley Act. This bill puts journalists at civil risk for investigating fraud and makes it harder to expose fraud in immigration support services, including NGOs, nonprofits, and healthcare facilities that receive hundreds of millions from the state of California each year. Let's have a listen to this story.
This is what many are calling the Stop Nick Shirley Act. This provision right here, B1. This is the look, I'm not going to support the bill overall, but at the very least, if you support freedom of speech and the First Amendment, B1 is a problem. And let me quote it in plain English, directly from the bill. A person shall not publicly post or display on the internet the image of a designated immigrant support services provider.
What?
That's the language, plain and simple. It goes on to say, well, only if this so-called provider has given
they're doing this in the open, okay?
Request. So let me give you an example. Nick Shirley shows up with his camera crew to the Somali Leering Center, or maybe one of the 90 fake hospices operating in a building in Los Angeles that was highlighted by CBS News.
Yeah.
Shows up doing the work of a citizen watchdog journalist.
Yeah.
This is something we should promote. We should say, look, we want extra set of eyes. People have a right to go out there and kick the tires and find out what are these organizations doing with our taxpayer funds. Nick Shirley records empty beds at the daycare center, records no patients, no medical supplies, no nurses, no doctors at the fake hospices. On the basis of this research, investigative research, posts this on the internet, interviews some of the providers. And all these people do is they hand Nick Shirley a business card.
Excuse me, Mr. DeMaio. Assemblymember Bonta, you are recognized for your point of order.
I asked the member from San Diego to actually stick to the merits of this bill, which actually has nothing to do with so-called
Thank you,
Nick Shirley.
Assemblymember.
What?
Assemblymember Bonta, your point is well taken.
He just read
DeMaio.
it.
Oh, no, I'm absolutely sticking to the specifics of this bill. If you show up and take video of those providers under this bill, all they would have to do, all the fraudsters would have to do is hand a business card over to the investigative journalist, and if they posted that evidence that they caught on video on the internet, they would be violating this law. The lawyers in this room know that absolutely
they do
under
that.
this language would be prohibited from being posted to the internet. This is
Look, I've said it that we shouldn't ascribe to incompetence what can be ascribed to malice. These people are doing this maliciously. They aren't stupid. They aren't foolish. These are very intelligent. These are highly intelligent and competent people that are doing this. They know what they're doing because they can see that the lies that they've been telling for years are being found out by regular guys with an iPhone. Okay, people walking around with iPhones, recording these things and posting them online. So now they are criminalizing free speech.
This is outrageous. And I'm urging you to uphold the First Amendment and to protect the right of citizen journalists like Nick Shirley and others to do the work that they've been doing. And they've been exposing fraud. And this is fraud that taxpayers ought to know about. This is the dollars of taxpayers, and we have an obligation to make sure that the transparency is provided. You can hue and cry all you want, but that's the language. And I just walked you through a real example of what Nick Shirley and other citizen journalists do and how it would be made illegal under this bill. When you vote for this, that's what you're voting to do. You are now put on notice, and then when the controversy continues to increase, that's your responsibility.
All right. We have someone chatting from New Hampshire. Hello from New Hampshire. What shenanigans? They are showing no First Amendment, let alone citizen journalism. That control is actual fascism. Okay, I'm trying to catch what you're saying, so I'm going to read it again. Okay, what shenanigans? They are showing no First Amendment, let alone citizen journalism. I don't understand. Are you saying that people like Nick Shirley aren't actually exercising their First Amendment? I'm a bit confused. Sorry. Chrissy. All right. Okay. No, sorry. Okay. So maybe, look, I'm going to be patient because I want to understand what you're saying so I can represent you properly. All right. So I'm going to wait. Okay. Not allowing the First Amendment. California. Okay. Not allowing the First Amendment. So California is floating for us all, like on full display. They're letting us know what the Democrat Party will do if they ever got absolute power. Now, the one thing standing between them and absolute power is the United States Constitution. Someone out there might be saying, hey, they've had absolute power before. No, not that kind of absolute power. They've had control of the presidency and the House and Senate before. But the one thing that keeps them from doing the things they want to do is the Constitution. Okay, Chrissy says, California is showing they will take our free speech. That is true. Now, imagine, like, Chrissy, imagine that you're watching this, okay? You have no skin in the game, but you're watching this play out. And you see a group of politicians who look over to another state and see what a certain journalist did to that state by exposing fraud and abuse. And then they decide that they're going to write a bill, the activity that he did in another state, so that it will be difficult for him or anyone else to do the same thing in their state. Because you know what? California is so corrupt that if even 50%, 10%, not 50, 10% of what is being done in Minnesota happens in California, the level of fraud will maybe more than triple what has been discovered or found in Minnesota. Intergalactic Wrangler says they are all so corrupt. Chrissy says, I love Nick Shirley. I just got my sweatshirt. Oh, you did? 1-800-FRAUD. So comfy. Awesome. Awesome. Look, guys, support independent creators. Support independent. I'm glad you got the t-shirt. Look, I need to work on my merch store. I just have a lot of things to deal with right now, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Okay. Intergalactic Wrangler likes that too. Look, support independent creators, because mainstream media has failed us all. They've failed us all. They've shown that they are in cahoots with the powers that be. The politicians, the Democrats, the leftists, the globalists, they are in cahoots with them. We saw it play out during the pandemic. We saw it play out during the Biden years. It's obvious to every one of us. If you're not supporting at least one independent creator that you trust, you're essentially allowing the leftist mainstream media to continue to control the narrative. And I'm playing this video about what's going on in California because we all need to have our eyes wide open and know what's going on in California, because come 2028, there are rumors that Gavin Newsom is going to run as the frontliner for the Democrat Party. Rumors. And most voters don't spend as much time as I do on the internet watching everything play out and knowing who these people really are. Some of them, the first time they would have seen or heard of Gavin Newsom would be on debate night, the presidential debates, and he's handsome, his hair is slicked back, he's doing his thing with his hands, and the panel on CNN and TDSBC have hyped him up so much that they're like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And people who don't know who this guy is and what he's done to California would say, hey, maybe we deserve a different flavor to things. And then they vote for him. So that's why I like to put all this stuff out. Chrissy says it helps pay for his safety and amazing journalism. Yes. Please do. Nick Shirley went to Cuba a few weeks back, and that trip was scary. It was scary. I watched the video and it was scary. It was like, Cuba is worse than Nigeria. It is worse. It is worse. I saw the state of the buildings and the people. I was like, this is worse. That's what socialism does. That's what communism does to a country. And these Democrats want that for you. They want that for all of us. Okay? Carl Schwab says, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, we see countries where they own nothing and we can see that they are not happy. But that's what the globalists, that's what the Democrats and socialists want for all of us. And if you dare stand up like Nick Shirley and say, hey, where are the children? Then California gets up and says, well, it's now illegal. Now, they aren't calling it illegal. They say it's an act. It's a Stop Nick Shirley Act to stop him from harassing immigrants. That's the angle they're taking, trying to make it seem like what Nick Shirley did was harass law-abiding immigrants because he's a MAGA YouTuber, like CNN called him. It's insane to watch, guys. But that's the world we live in today. Chrissy says, I am a hairdresser in a very blue district. I am so awake to these scum, and half my clients are so blind. It's been a hard couple of years keeping my mouth shut. Boomer women are so blinded. It's sad. And the reason why boomers are so captured by all of this is that they grew up in an era when you could trust the news. I grew up, my dad would have, we had 9 o'clock news. That was when the rundown of all the news for the day would run. That was years back in the 80s and 90s. And my dad unfailingly would turn on the 9 o'clock news. And he would sit there for an hour listening to and believing what they said. And even when I found out that these guys were lying to us back in Nigeria, my dad would still sit down and listen to the 9 o'clock news. Today, he listens to CNN and MSNBC. So they are programmed to believe what these people say, not what your son says, not what your cousin or your sister says. They are programmed to just believe what comes through the screen or through the airwaves. Chrissy says 1,000%. I did till 3 years ago. Chrissy, you are my kind of people. Okay, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell icon. We would love to have you come around again and again. We go live every night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Hope you considered rejoining us again when we're back again tomorrow. Okay, because we're staring down the barrel of something so insidious that it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. I have family that can't have a decent conversation with you because the name Trump came up. Okay, like I said, I have New York. I have family that lives in New York. And it's like, no matter how the city could burn down, and it's not Mamdani's fault, it's Trump's fault. Chrissy says Obama changed the Smith-Mundt Act in 2013. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about this for months now, Chrissy. And it allowed our news to propagandize the U.S. I subbed. Thank you so much for subbing. Intergalactic Wrangler says, nice to see you, Chrissy. And Chrissy says, I have family also that believes Trump is the Antichrist. So horrendous. Yeah, like there are people. Someone in my family shared a YouTube video about how we have a WhatsApp group. And they shared a YouTube video about how Trump is the Antichrist. And I'm like, my goodness, guys, come on. But you know what? They believe it. They believe it. That's the heartbreaking part of this whole thing. It's so obvious. All you have to do is just scrape a little at the stories that they tell, and you'll find out that these are lies. All you have to do is watch these guys talk, and you know that all they run on is fear and lies. Guys, hope you consider supporting the channel. Hope you consider coming back tomorrow. Thank you, Chrissy, for subbing. The rest of you out there who are watching, because I see you, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing the video, leaving a comment, okay? Chatting. Look, you don't have to give a super chat. All you have to do is just chat with me because we have to talk about this. I don't live where you live, okay? Gardening lives in a different state. Intergalactic Wrangler lives in a different state. Chrissy, you live in New Hampshire. Like, we live in different parts, and there are experiences that you have there that could add to the story that gives it a more rounded look. Okay, I don't want to be like those guys on TDSBC who sit in their air-conditioned studios and try to litigate what happened in Nigeria, to try and tell Americans that they know what's really going on in Nigeria. If you guys have more information that is truthful and that can add more to the stories that we're looking at, amazing. Would love to cover them because, look, we're only here to find out the truth. Okay? That's all. Find out the truth and talk about it. Okay? So, Chrissy says a huge turnaround was when Trump was shot at and the news blamed him. Crazy. No Biden news conference. Just not my America. It's not. I watched it. Now, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm not from around here. Okay? I'm from Africa. But my daughter is American, all right? She's an anchor baby, all right? So it's weird, okay? It's weird. how can you support Trump when he's trying to stop the anchor baby thing from going on? Because I understand what he's trying to do. We took advantage of it. Why? Because we lived in a country where everything was really, things didn't work. I didn't want my kids to have to be shackled to that insanity. We saw an opportunity to have our second child in the United States. We took it. She has an American passport. She is an American citizen. I'm glad about it, but I understand why Trump is talking about how birthright citizenship is being used against the United States. You have people who give birth to their kids in the United States, give them that privilege of being an American citizen, fly them back to their countries, and then train them to hate the United States. That's insane. And then they come back to the United States, hating the United States, claim the status of being an American citizen, and do horrendous things. We know it happens. So when you see these people do those crazy things, it's no surprise that birthright citizenship is on the chopping block because of the insane people. But no, the Democrats want to blame Trump and call him racist. They don't want to talk about the real reasons why that's happening. All right. Gardening will say that I'm ranting again because I get so heated when I think about these things. Oh, Chrissy, you like my style? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's encouraging because it is hard. Okay, it is hard for me to talk about these things because somehow I feel like I'm an imposter. Okay, I am not an American citizen, so why are you talking about American politics? Because that's what I know. I've watched American politics for years, for decades. It's what I know, and I've seen how it affects everyone in the world. It affected Nigeria, my country. It did. Destroyed our economy. Why? Because Barack Hussein Obama interfered with our elections. So it's fair that I talk about what goes on in the United States because I know it affects everyone. It does. All right, guys. Chrissy, you have been a joy. Gardening, get well, feel better soon. I will be praying for you. I'm going to pray for you right after. I'm going to pray for you tomorrow while I'm on my walk. Get better. We miss you in the chat, but look, your health is more important. So please get better. You're watching. I know you are. We love you and we miss you. Chrissy, hope you hang on. I haven't done this in a while, guys. I want to gift subs today. I haven't done this in a while. Please, guys, just stay on the live stream. I want to gift some subs today. I do. I've been thinking about doing it, but I get so distracted during the live streams that I forget to gift subs. So guys, just hang around, okay? I'm going to do some gifted subs, and I hope, yes, gardening, we see you. So I'm going to do some gifted subs. Just give me a moment to send you guys some gifted subs because I love you guys. I appreciate that you guys take out the time to watch me, and I just want to show you that I appreciate the love. And yes, so gifted subs to everyone who is Chrissy. Yes, you got it. All right, so that landed right in your lap. Gardening got a gifted membership. Okay. Rose, Robert, history. Guys, just have fun, okay? I love you guys. I want to start doing membership, members only live streams. So I'm going to be letting you guys know when that happens because not everything can happen during these public live streams. There are things that I would like to just chat with you guys about during the members only live streams. And if you want to send me stories, Gardening did something amazing this morning. She sent me a video, and one of those videos featured on tonight's live stream. Please send me a link to anything you find that you think would be great for us to look at during the next live stream. Just send it to this email address on the screen, crossroadsirl@gmail.com. Guys, you're part of the story, okay? You're part of the story. I want you guys to feel free to send me things that we could look at and talk about. And I would love to catch you guys on the next one. Again, I pray for you guys every day, every single day. This is not me grandstanding. I do, because I find that it's so important for us to have a prayer cover for what's going on in the world. It's like evil is in the air, and we need prayer. So I pray for you guys every day, and you guys mean a lot to me. Thank you for hanging out and watching. I'll be back tomorrow, same time tomorrow, and I hope to catch you all on the next one. God bless you, and good night.